Well, hi Flosstube. This is Sam, Stitch Again Sam. It's been a while, I'm pretty sure we're over a year. No, I'm positive it's over a year. I don't know what number video this is. I don't know, 13, 14, something like that. Yeah, so we had a break and I'm back and let's see. Let's just start with, I will give the very quick not definition, but like what's been going on, where have I been? We moved again. I think that the last time I was here, we were living in an apartment. So we did, this is not the apartment. So we moved again. I'm done with moving for a while. So we're pretty well settled here. So between finding a house, moving again, you know, you move into a house, I painted, there's much painting that got done. My husband did a lot of work on the flooring. Like we just did stuff when we moved in. So last summer was sort of a heavy project summer. And in amongst all of that, we had issues. If you've been here before or like I even remember anything about me, I have, my oldest daughter is 21 and she has Rett syndrome, which is a neurological disorder. So she graduated from high school and we thought we had a program kind of all set for her. No, we didn't. So we've learned some lessons. I'm not gonna go into it, but was not happy about it. Very, very stressful period of time. We did find an alternative program for her, but she really only goes there 2 days a week. We do, fingers crossed, we talked to a new program just this past week that looks really, really promising. So she's gonna start there in August, her other 3 days. We're gonna kind of see how that goes. So I've been spending a lot of time I'm always her caretaker, but like there wasn't breaks like when she would be at school. If she's not at her program, I'm at work. And if she's not at her program, she's home with me. So we're always hanging out and doing stuff and whatnot. So like right now she's hanging in the family room, watching a video with headphones on. You may hear giggles if something good comes on there. But my husband and my younger daughter are away at they're actually on their way home from a lacrosse tournament. So I just thought this was kind of a quiet time that I could take advantage and try to actually come back. Make it like, it's like my comeback video. Well, maybe that's what we'll call it. So like things got calm and I could have done this. Like there's been months where I could have done this, but I sort of had a hard time figuring out how on earth am I going to organize everything that I've done since the last time I made a video. Like it's a lot. So what I'm gonna focus on today is 2023. Like what have I worked on in 2023? How have I organized, when I decided what I was gonna work on? So we're gonna focus on 2023 and we'll get through what we can. I'm gonna watch the time. Okay, so first a thank you to Shelly, who is one of the owner of one of our LNSs in the area. I was in there last week and she was sort of the one that asked me, like, are you ever gonna do another video? And I'm like, I thought about it. I actually was, when my husband and daughter were gone last weekend too, and this weekend. And last weekend I thought this would be a good time to do a video, but like did not have it in me to put together, like organize everything and whatnot, so I didn't. But thought, well, maybe this weekend. So with her encouragement, I'm here. So thanks, Shelly. But she also asked me to don't start with like a 3-hour long whip parade. So we'll keep mindful of the time and how much time we're spending here and get through what we can, and we'll catch up on the rest later. We'll have some like prior finish kind of segments of future videos that will get you all caught up on what I've done. Okay, so let's start with sort of what were my plans and how have I approached things so far in 2023. And we'll back up a little bit. In 2022, I started the year doing WIPGO and very much enjoyed it. But then all of the things that I mentioned earlier kind of came into play, and we did not so much keep up with the WIPGO and didn't really want to go back to like try to catch up. So I just kind of stitched what I want whenever I wanted. I didn't worry about the board anymore. But in the beginning of the year when I was doing it, I really did enjoy it. So I wanted to give it another go. So I organized everything. I started there with 28 WIPs. There were things on there that I was fine putting on the WIPGO board. There were things on there that I wanted to work on separately from that because I really wanted them finished. And as I go through things, like I'll kind of explain like how that all got organized. I keep track of everything in, it's like a book of days, but it's the Target less, I don't know, like the modern version. I don't know what to call it, like the plainer version. It doesn't have like the picture and stuff, but it's the same concept inside of a calendar. And it has some blank pages in the front that are just lined pages. So this became, I don't know if you can really see or read that, but I did my WIPGO like as a list. So I had the WIPGO, and then I have some like projects that I'm gonna work on separately from WIPGO that I knew I wanted to make more progress on than I could if they were like pull a number and, you know, just kind of get that one shot at making progress on them. As I show you things, like we'll kind of go through that. So what I'm going to do is kind of go month by month. We're going to start with finishes, and I'll go month by month what I finished in each month from January to June. And then we'll also go through things that I worked on in those months after we do the finishes. Then we'll go through what I've worked on that is still a WIP, or maybe like a new start in that time. That's the plan. And then we'll talk about July plans. If we have time, I'll go through some of the other WIPs that are pending a WIPGO pull, but I kind of feel like we won't get to that today. So that is what we're gonna do. So we'll start with the month of January. It was much colder, and we'll pretend it's January. Okay, so in fairness, the first thing I worked on in January was my WIPGO pull, and most of my WIPGO items I have on there as a goal of 5 days or a finish. So if I can finish it in 5-ish days, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's a little bit more, I try to just finish it, but minimally I want to spend 5 days on each one. Are you seeing these lines? Okay, I don't think you see those lines. There's like lines. I really hope you're not seeing lines. That has to be just the camera. Okay. Anyway, so when the January numbers were pulled, I didn't actually have the WIPGO board put together yet, so I might have kind of cheated and picked the things I wanted to work on in January, and one of those was, this is Let's Talk Winter by Hands On Design. Ooh, I need something to put behind here. We'll use that for right now. Okay. I'm sure most people have seen this. It literally took me a day. Like I was almost done with this. So it was like a one-dayer and it was done. This is on 16 count navy Ada. I think they're just the DMC equivalents that were called for on it, and just stitched it as is. Oh, the only thing I left off, so if you're looking at this and you think it's missing, it was intentional. This snowman guy, in the pattern, there's like twigs, like his arms down here. I don't know if they're supposed to be legs, but like snowmen don't have legs, so I didn't stitch them. I think that's the only thing I really changed. Otherwise, it's as is. I'm debating whether or not I might do some of the other versions of these. Ironically, the other one I really like is the autumn. Spring and summer, and like summer especially, and I'm usually all about summer beachy things. I don't know. So I'm debating. I'm not sure if this is a series I'm going to do the whole series or not. But that one got done in January. The next one that was also a finish in January, and it was also a whip go pull, was this is Serendipity from Fat Quarter Shop. Now, if you're familiar with this pattern, you're like, that does not look anything. Well, I mean, the pattern itself looks right, but the colors are totally different. So the original version of this, so this is a pattern that's available at Fat Quarter Shop. It's in their free pattern section. The concept is it's part of their Make-A-Wish like fundraising program. And so you can still go get it for free. Please make a donation to Make-A-Wish if you do. But originally this was stitched on a navy fabric, and the colors were sort of like pale blue and like a sage green and yellow, and just like not really my color scheme. And I had actually started this once before, and my idea was, since it's sort of quilt inspired, I was going to do like use up all of my extra floss from other projects and make it kind of like scrappy quilt looking. I'm pretty sure I actually did show that in a video, because I was mentioning that I wasn't too sure about it and I wasn't sure I liked it. And I know I got a few comments saying, no, stick with it, like it'll be fine. And you know, I just looked at it and I don't like it. So I sort of put that one to the side. I was inspired to start it again. So when I kind of got back into, like, there were a few months in like summer last year where I just didn't stitch at all. I didn't watch any Flosstube. It was nothing. Too much else going on. And when I came back, somehow I realized that, well, probably because I follow Nicole Sport. So if Nicole Sport isn't someone you follow, definitely should check her out. But I followed her for card making because that's another hobby of mine. She started doing Flosstube videos. And so I was binge watching and watching all of her Flosstube videos that she had made. And in one of them, she was showing the Shine On sampler, which is another, I mean, it's a Fat Quarter Shop thing. It was part of a book that you would buy that would have like a quilting patterns in it. But it also had a cross stitch pattern, which I did really like, and I had seen other people stitching that, but it's, I mean, is she big? It was a big one, and I wasn't really sure what I would do with it, and it's like I kind of liked it, but it was like, oh, but that one's big. I don't know if I really want to do it. So she showed it, and I was like, yeah, should I do that? And then I was like, or should I use those colors for this? And so that's kind of what I did. There are definitely some things that are different. Like I used a different yellow than what they called for, and I think a different, maybe different aquas or pinks. There's some slight modifications. If you would like to know what colors they're just DMC colors. If you would like to know what colors I actually used, just leave me a comment and I will forward that to you or post it in some way so people can see. My intent is to do more of these patterns, but like small chunks of them. So the next one was like a Heartfelt, I think was the name of it. And it was a probably similar size pattern, but it was easy enough to take like 4 little hearts and do something smaller. And even this year's, I think it would be easy to modify to just do something smaller. And so my intent is to do that, but use the same colors and make kind of a collage of these things that I'll hang in my daughter's room. So long story short, that is Serendipity. This was on 16 count white Aida. And again, those colors were roughly inspired by the Shine On sampler colors. Okay. Next up is, so I have sort of a thing for series that are monthly or like the 4 seasons. It's like I cannot help myself. So I have many patterns that I have purchased that fall into that category. and I'm like, I need to like have a way to get these done. So this is sort of outside of WIPCO, part of my plans. And that was every year we're gonna do, each month we'll do the month, and we're gonna get through some of these monthly patterns. So this year I am working on, I think, let's see, it's A Year of Celebration Season 2 from Hands On Design. I'm doing them each individually rather than one big pattern like some others are doing. So in January, I'm doing January. And then I also did for, what was that called? The NYE 12 by 12 that Kia B and Pam from Just Keep Stitching do on New Year's Eve. I started all of these, which I'm like, there's 12. So like, this will be perfect. I will new start every one of these. And I just did like the little, I don't know if it's a tag or whatever, the tag with the name of the month. In the original, this is all filled in. I kind of wanted the month, like it made to me the month look really like the first thing you almost see. I didn't really want that. So I'm just, at this point, I'm not filling them in. If I change my mind, I might go back and fill it in with something that's maybe just a slightly lighter version of the fabric, which the fabric is a 28 count mushroom Lugana, because I had a pretty big piece of it and it was enough to fit all of, actually I think I had like 2 pieces and it was enough to do all of this. As far as the colors are concerned, I'm doing sort of a mix of, there might be some that are the original called for, like DMC equivalents. There is a conversion available on Fat Quarter Shop. Well, I think on their blog that Kimberly is using. That's what I was originally gonna do. And then there were times where I was like, but I'm not really, like there were times when there was purple called for that they were using pink instead. And I kind of really wanted it to be purple. So I've sort of gone, I'll say like a little bit rogue and I'm just, picking like what I want for each one. So whatever. They're never gonna be displayed together, so they don't all have to like perfectly match, but I am trying to use basically the same colors. So this is obviously January with a little snow. So that one is done. Also in January. Okay, January was a pretty productive month. They're not all quite this significant. All right, next up is, let's see if can I fit that all in there? Colors of Summer. This is an Emma Congdon pattern. These were originally in Cross Stitcher magazine. You can get them now all on her Stitchrovia Etsy shop. So this again is an outside of WIPCO kind of situation because I really wanted these to be done by the end of the year. I had winter finished before the year started. Summer I had a pretty good start on. I'm sure I had showed it before. So I kind of made myself a goal that I was going to work on this 5 days every month until they're all done. So this one, like I said, didn't have a lot. I know I worked on this more than 5 days in January, but it kind of got, okay, so like, does anybody else have this thing where when I'm working on something, it's sort of like you're going up a hill and, you know, anywhere in the upward trajectory, I can say, okay, I'll set this aside. And I do find like that this 5 days is sort of a good amount of time for me to work on something and then feel like, okay, that's enough of that one. I'm ready to move on. But there is a point that I hit in every project where it's like, no, now it's like the down, like it has to be, I have to finish it. And this was definitely in that category where I spent the 5 days, but I knew I was only a couple days away from probably completely finishing it. So like I had to make it be done because I didn't want to set it down when there was only a little bit left to do. So that one is done. That one, I don't know if that's my favorite. I mean, it's pretty good, but okay. So that was Colors of Summer. And then, all right, then we had, okay, so this is another group of patterns that are in the monthly category that if you've watched me before, you've seen these. And these are the time window patterns from Crochet A Go-Go, if I'm saying that correctly. I had all but 4 of them done before the beginning of this year. So February is one that I had a little bit, I at least for sure had the month stitched. So I finished that one up in January. My goal is to have all 4 of these done before I go on a craft retreat in August. I have 1 more that I'm going to show you now, and then 2 that still need to be done. We'll talk about those later. So that's February. Done. Oh, and this is on 32 count. It's the called for 32 count Belfast natural linen and just the called for DMC. That Colors of Summer was on 16 count white Aida too, if I didn't say that. Okay, next, ooh, I should have, I did not pull that out. Okay, this is a 1 pattern of these. They're called Lovable Petites. Oh, who makes that? Hold on, I know I have the pattern here somewhere. Let me find it so I can say the right thing. Okay, here we go. It is Little House Needleworks, and it's those, they've come out with a whole bunch of these little petites. So I saw this, I really wanted to do it. I just did this one. So far I've only done that one. I still count that like as a finish though, because there's 4 different things. And I think this was the called for fabric, which is a Weeks Dye Works fabric. It is Red Pear. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is the called for of that. I am not a big fan of the Weeks Dye Works linen. It's too like, although this one doesn't seem as bad, but it's too like stretchy or something for me. I don't know. This I'm okay with. If I get around to showing you some of the other whips, I'll show you the one that I am not okay with. And I think it's because there's more solid area stitching than there is on something like this. And I think that might be the difference, but I am gonna try to make a little pillow, I think, out of this one. And I'm not really sure which of these other ones I'm going to do. I was going to do these 3. I wasn't sure about this one with the girl. So I originally was gonna do those 3. I might come back to them, but for now we just have this little guy done. And we're considering him a finish. So that's it. Okay, that's it for January finishes. And like I said, that was kind of a lot. You'll notice in the peak busy season, I'm a CPA by trade, if you don't remember or you haven't been here before. So you'll notice like the March, April timeframe is sort of, there's like less finishing. Okay, February, we'll start with another whip go pull that got finished. And I had a pretty good start on this one, so it's not probably that impressive. I need a board for future things. Okay, this is How Does Your Garden Grow? This is another Emma Congdon pattern. I originally stitched it from, it's those keepsake calendars that come out every year, and there's like a calendar, but then there's kind of like a magazine that has all the patterns in it. I think it was the 2021 calendar. I believe this might be on her Etsy, available on her Etsy shop too, the Stitchrovia Etsy shop. Maybe. And this is on 32 count summer khaki linen and called for DMCs. This definitely falls into the category of like, I really liked it and I stitched it, but I'm like, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with that. But I mean, it's pretty, we'll figure something out. So that was a February finish. Okay, next up is, here's a seasonal item. But I had started, this was another, like it was a whip, this was my whip go pull. This is another whip go pull for the month. And these are the patterns that are available. They were designed by Barbara Anna. You purchased the kit through Knitka Moscow, and there were 4 girls. I think that maybe they intended for you to stitch them maybe all together on one piece, but I'm doing them separately. And I think this was just a natural, like 30, I think this was also a 32 count natural linen that came with the kit. Like this is what came with the kit. Again, these will not be displayed together, so the piece that they gave you is not big enough, I don't think, to do them all separately. So probably one of them is going to have to be on fabric that I purchased, but if it's not an exact match, it will be fine. But I got the summer done. And I'm not sure if you can still order that kit. I think people were ordering things maybe from Nitka Moscow again, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So that was the 2 February finishes. So I was like on a real roll with finishing my WIPGO things. It doesn't always stay that way, but okay. And then we have our Year of Celebrations, February. I can still see through that. So this is basically same as last, the 32 count, right? 28 count, Mushroom Lugana, and my crazy mix of floss colors. That one is done. And then we got our time window June, which was the only other one I had actually started. So this again was a Crochet Go-Go pattern that's available on Etsy, and it's on 32 count Belfast. Well, I think that means the same thing, right? If it's Belfast, that is 32 count. Natural is like the color linen, and the call for DMCs. I had thought about trying to do something to this dog to make it look more like our dog, who's a yellow lab, but then I just decided that probably wasn't a very good idea, and I left him the way it was. He's cute. Oh, I did, although I will say, okay, these little strawberries, for some reason on the original pattern, it's like there wasn't a point. And I'm like, well, I think the strawberries should have a little point at the bottom. So I did make a slight modification to that part of the pattern. Okay, so that's it for February. All right, March. Okay, so this was technically a WIPGO pull, but it was in the category of like, it wasn't actually a WIP. So there were a few things that I put on my WIPGO board that were quick stitches that were part of a series I wanted to finish. And I think in every case, it's the Lizzie Kate string patterns, because I had quite a few of those done already, and I wanted to finish the whole series. So let's see, this is like this gigantic, this was spring string is what got called in March, like pretty good timing. All the ones you've seen up to now, I had pre-ironed like before today and organized it. We're now getting into the non-ironed, non-trimmed portion of the program. Okay, so let me see if you guys can see this. So this was on 25 count Prim Lugana, like the Lori Holt Prim Lugana. It's a little dark. I kind of wish I would have selected a different fabric, but this is probably not one I'll redo because it looks fine. And the color actually even looks darker or worse. I have to get my lighting figured out in here than it does in real life. Now, you may be, if you are familiar with this pattern, you may be going, that does not look like the right colors. And well, I mean, right, or called for colors. And you would be right. So in this case, I did colors that were inspired, because when I pulled them, I was like, these seem not very springy. And so I pulled colors that were inspired by a Satsuma Street pattern that I had done the year before. I think it's called Sweet Spring, and it's a bunny, and it's really cute, and the colors are bright, and it looked really nice on like a tan fabric. So I kind of used those colors and just substituted, you know, a blue for a blue, and I might have done some other things that were different here, but I don't remember what it was. So that one needs to be finished. Well, all these are, it's finished stitching, but like fully finished. This was no, this wasn't the first new start because that Lovable Petites was new. I was just itching to do a little bit more spring. And so I started these Oology patterns from, these are Satsuma Street patterns, and they are birds. I guess Oology is like the study of eggs or birds or something. There are 4 in them. I did 2. This kind of, and again, these are not, are these the, I don't know. These might have been the called for colors, but you were supposed to like fill this whole thing in. Like it was solid stitching. That whole background was stitched to color. And I'm like, if I just put them all on like a pale blue, I think they'll look fine and I don't have to stitch that whole background. So like, if you like these patterns, but you've been sort of put off by having to, you know, have like full coverage stitching basically on each egg, I think a pale blue worked pretty well behind here. So I've done this guy who's the kind of peachy color, and this guy who is the purple. Let me fold that a little bit better. Purple. So I think there is a white, kind of whitish color bird, and a blue, like these kind of shades of blue. I think I'm gonna do one more of these, but I'm probably not gonna do all 4. So that is Oology, and then we did the March Year of Celebrations. Okay, I know that, which is one of my favorites from this series because it doesn't have a flippin' leprechaun on it. Like, no offense if you like leprechauns. I'm not a big like leprechaun or gnome person. They're like just not my thing. So, but almost everything that has these months, if it does not have a leprechaun on it in March, like I'm in. So I liked that one. This was the first one where on the Kimberly Jolly color version, these flowers, I guess, yeah, flowers are pink. And I don't know, to me, purple, I liked purple better. So I kind of stuck with the called for on the purple there. So that is March. And same fabric, right? 28 count mushroom, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that gets us through March. April's a little weak. I mean, I still worked on some other things, but whip, go, pull. So you'll notice spring string, only one whip, go, pull. We'll get to the other one. It's still a whip. So we'll get to that one later. April, same deal. So one of the pulls was another one of the Lizzie Kate string patterns. Okay, I'm trying to like see what you guys can see. This is Buzzy string. I just feel like everything looks drabber in color. All right, we're gonna have to work out the color situation here. I think I did just the called for, the DMC equivalent of what was called for. And this is on 32 count antique ivory linen from Zweigart. And I think I made a few substitutions on the DMCs, but it's pretty close to what was called for. But it just looks, oh, that's maybe a little better. I don't know, but then by the time, I'll get the lighting figured out. All new place. All right, so that was an April finish. And then we obviously then also had our April season 2, a year of celebrations here. The bunnies are probably a little darker than I would have liked, but I think they're fine. They're all right. So that's April. He's done. All right, so that was it for April. May, the first whip go pull was this guy, Candy Claws, and this is a Satsuma Street pattern that is stitched on perforated paper. He still needs his beading done. I'm planning on actually taking, I have a few of these ornaments that need beading completed, so I think that's something I'm gonna do when I go on my retreat. Bad idea? Probably, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, okay, so this retreat that I go on, I go with my friend Julie, and we literally do actually get things done. Like, it's not a giant cross-stitch retreat. It's more of, it's like in a house. There are other people, it's not just us. But we do actually get quite a bit done while we're there. So it might not be completely crazy for me to think. What I would like to do is get the beading done and actually like make the ornament. And on the original, there was a bird on top of here, but I kind of think it's okay without the bird. So I'm not including the bird on mine. So Candy Claws, and then I guess May was fairly light too, but I think that was just because they were bigger Whip Go projects. Okay, and then we have the May season. Oh my God, why can't I think of this every time? A Year of Celebrations, season 2, May, with the bees. That one's cute. Big fan. Okay, that's May. All right, June, which is what we are in the middle of. Wait, yeah, wait, what? Hold on. Oh, I know what happened. Okay. I had a moment of confusion there. So this next one that I'm going to show you is Seasons of the Heart. And again, this is very much not ironed. This is the summer version. This was from this with a needle and thread. Lots of people did these book. Okay. So I started this. This was a whip go pull for the month of May, but I actually finished it in the first like day or two of June because I was close, and as we have discussed, I had to finish it. This is on 40 count Thornfield linen from Needle and Flax. So I'm going to tell you, this is a recommendation, high Flosstube recommendation. I had actually started this pattern on the called for fabric, which was vintage country mocha, and I was kind of like, meh, I don't know how much I like it. This is a little more like traditional than my typical style, but like I had seen people stitch it and I liked it. And so I wanted to get, like, I looked at the picture and I was like, I like that. So like I can do it. But when I put it on the vintage country mocha, it just looked a little too vintage for me. And so I wasn't, like, I didn't go far on it. And I knew when it got pulled, I was going to have to figure this out. So the fabric choice was a direct, I don't know, like, suggestion. I'm not sure. It wasn't really like a suggestion, but the person that had done it was, I believe it was Carolyn from the Curious Crafters. And if you are not watching the Curious Crafters, they're my favorite Flosstube channel. I had watched probably their first Flosstube right before I had my break. And so then when I came back, they had like a whole bunch and I binge watched them. And it's two sisters, Carolyn and Anna. I love those women. I wish they would make a Flosstube every day. They are both teachers, and I think maybe that teacher effect is what I like. And they're curious, as their name says. They like do a lot of like, I wonder why this is the way it is, or like figuring things out is like a thing that, and I don't know. I love them. I love their enthusiasm for both what they're doing and how they respond to each other's work. Like, it's always, oh, Anna, like so I'm an only child. And I never really felt like I was worrying about missing out on like having siblings. These ladies make me wish I was in their like sister group because they're amazing, like towards one another. So anyway, Curious Crafters, I'll try to put a link below, but like for sure, check them out. So they had done it. Now, when I got the fabric, I was a little nervous because it's a little bit more like, I'll show this empty part. Like, it's a little more grungy than what Sam usually stitches on. And so I was a little nervous, but I think truly it does, like once you stitch on it, it doesn't really look the same. And again, I know my colors are not really showing up here well, but I'm very happy with it. And so I'm going to continue to stitch the others on this same color. I definitely did different floss colors for this. When I was looking at the floss and going to pull the called for colors, like to me, the color they were calling for this house looked orange, and I did not like it. So I will tell you, at least that red color is, if you purchased the Heart and Hand, like their annual collector's heart pattern that comes with fabric and floss, I think it was Cottage Garden Threads floss that was red with it. That's what I used for the house. I think it was a good choice. And the other stuff, I just kind of picked what I wanted. So that was a May whip go pull that was finished in June. And yes, I can stitch on 40 count now. So I'm all over the place. And I like it that way. I like being able to sit there and go, I'm stitching on 40 count, and there's a lot I like about it. I like the single strand, I like it, but then I like to go back and go to my like 16 count Aida, and it's just easy. It's easy to see, it's easy to whatever. I like a mix. That's what I am learning. Okay, and then we have our June. You know what, you love it, a year of celebrations. Oops, June. That was like I think those are strawberries. I would assume they're strawberries since it's June. Basket. Those are cute. So we are completely keeping up on that, which I'm pretty happy about. That one got done, and then colors of spring. So you saw the colors of summer earlier. We also got through colors of spring. This one was not my favorite because there were a lot of solid, like these solid color blocks, more I think than normal, or at least in some of the other patterns. And those are my least favorite to stitch because it's, well, kind of boring. So I need to figure out how I want to frame these, because I would like to do something where I can like switch them out. And actually, the Curious Crafters had a video, I think it was Carolyn did it, where she framed something in like a floating frame. Maybe this is something I'm thinking about trying if I did a frame like that. And you could like switch out the seasons pretty easily in that. We'll see. Okay, that's all the finishes. I mean, that's 6 months worth of stitching. And like, those were all, for the most part, those were all things that were already started or pretty well started. So like, don't think I'm super amazing or anything. Okay, so now let's talk about things that are still whips and kind of what I worked on in those months where like you didn't just see it because it didn't get finished, or I started it new. So in the month of January, I started, because everybody else was starting it, so I wanted to start it, which was Bighearted Tiny Town. I love the Tiny Town patterns. I've collected most of them. There's a couple of them that I'm like, meh. So, but I'm collecting the ones that I like. And I decided to do it on this, there's a needle in there, Pink Splash Lugana. Here's my really enormous start. Now, part of the reason that this is kind of weak is that I wasn't really sure about, I was just gonna do DMC equivalents on this. And some of the DMC colors I wasn't too sure about. Like, I think the color that was the roof on this house was very similar to the actual color of the house. And that's sort of what held me up. So I did actually purchase some of the called for, I think they are mostly Classic Color Works and some Weeks Dye Works fabrics, or flosses. So, I mean, we'll get back to this, but I'm in no hurry. I don't have any plans to really pick this back up again this year. I'll probably wait and do it next year. And I think I will keep it on this Pink Splash, but we'll see. All right, so that was a new start that obviously there wasn't much to. And then, okay, in the month of March, one of my whip goat pulls for March that just isn't finished yet is this Erica Michaels pattern. Let me find the picture part. And it's Walk on the Beach. And this was something I had started prior to one of our vacations. And it called for 40 count silk gauze, which I don't really know what that means, silk gauze. I assume it's like linen. But when I started this, I was like, no way. But now I'm like, I probably could have stitched it on 40 count. But my idea was I wanted this to be something I could take on vacation. And I don't know that I would be able to really see well enough to stitch on 40 count without like major light. So here's where this one stands. Now, a couple things I am changing. I'm trying to remember what I really got done. I know I finished this block. Now you might notice mine is like a solid, I mean, it's variegated because the floss was variegated, but it's solid. In the pattern, it's like this checkerboard situation, which I did not like. So I'm doing that. My intent when I am done with this is to attach a few very tiny shells that I've collected from the beach somehow on here. We'll figure it out when we get there. This one, the difficulty I had with this, but I think I'm okay with it and how it's starting to look, was this color, and it doesn't look, you aren't really, I don't know if you're picking up that it's variegated, but this like darker blue that's here, on here it's a much brighter, sort of an aqua teal color. The called for color for that part looks nothing like this. So I had a really hard time picking something, and honestly what I'm using right here is just a variegated DMC. So, and I think I did the same, like it's used up here. I thought about restarting it because I was like, I really wanted it to be that brighter color, but I think it's gonna be fine. So I think I worked on parts of, like I think I got these lighter lines done and a little bit of this, and then finished filling in all of this sand part, I guess is what you would call it. So that is something that we worked on in March, but it was not a finish. That is one, we aren't really planning like a big vacation this year, so I'm not sure, I'm not really sure when I'll pick this one up again. It may just go on next year's Whipco board. All right, next was, this was also in March. Just had a hankering to start, another tiny town. And it was the honey of a tiny town. Cute. I don't know what this fabric is, you guys. Somewhere it was in my stash. I think I've used it for something else. Again, it's picking up a little bit darker here than it really is, but I'm happy with that. I am changing the colors a little bit on this. There was a conversion to make this match like the Primrose Cottage Bee stuff out there. I kind of did that, but like even changed it a little bit further. There's not much to say about that now because I've only done the big white house part. But this is another, like if I just want something different to do at some point in the month, I might pick this up again, but if it takes me a while, I'm okay with that. It can go on next year's Whipco board. I don't know if you'll be able to read this, but these are the color, they're just DMC colors and what I'm using. So you could take a screenshot of that if you wanted to. All right, that is that. Okay, one of April's pulls that you did not see, because it's a big one and it's not finished, is the Madame Chantilly Celebrate Summer. This guy. This is, I don't know for sure if I know what this fabric is either. I'm sorry. I had more done on this than I thought, so I made pretty good progress. So I finished the tiered tray-ish part. I have, let's see, we have like the Hello Beach outline done. I have to fill that in. I got the whale done, this pot, flowers, and then I started the mermaid. Let's see, the mermaid tail, and I don't know what that other thing is. What is that? I think it's a pot. Oh no, that's the lighthouse. That's the bottom of the lighthouse up there. So pretty good progress on that. This is one that I could see myself picking this up again if I had, well, and there's one or two things on that are still on my Whipco board that are kind of like, I might UFO it and not actually stitch it. And if I did that, I might like put this one in for a second round because I would like to get this one done. Not that I think that would necessarily do it, but it would get me a little bit more progress. Okay, June. Okay, so June is definitely projects that are not gonna be done because they were also kind of bigger. And the first one was Flea Market Flowers. These were the Whipco pulls for me. So Flea Market Flowers, everybody's already done it. I know, whatever. This though, I am doing differently because I'm doing it as if they're all sunflowers. And it's on this white, hold on, from Fabric Flair Whitewash Board. And this is 14 count, I think, because that was just what was available probably when I was in the store. Okay, so I'm looking at this and it's not so bad, but when I look at it up close, I really like the colors I'm using for like this guy up in the corner, but then I felt like this one was a little bit too drab and there's a little bit of, I don't know, I wasn't sure. So what I actually did was, this originally on the pattern was pink. So all the ones that were pink throughout it, I basically used 3 different colors, like these 2 and 1 lighter one. It looks better. Maybe I'm okay with it. I was thinking about pulling out some of those darker ones, but now I'm thinking maybe no. Okay, but I've spent my 5 days on this, so he's going back to the whip pile. That is Flea Market Flowers. And this is a Christmas one, and I'm usually a like stitch the season in the season, but I'm finding I'm okay with mixing it up a little bit. So this is a pattern called Peak Santa, P-E-A-K, Peak. And this is another Emma Congdon. It was originally in a just Cross Stitcher magazine. I believe it was November of 2021. But I also think that this is now available on her Etsy shop. And this has, I'm stitching this from the PDF of the pattern. This has, if you aren't familiar with it, this is what the pattern looks like. So there's a whole bunch of Santas, so I have quite a bit more to go. I will not make a pillow out of this. I'll probably frame it. But, so I got, I'm trying to remember what I did. I think I was midway through this Santa. So I did him and this one. I still have a couple days. I think I have 2 more days I need to stitch on this one to reach my goal, which it's fine. Today is June 25th. So 2023. So we'll get some more done on him before the end of the month. Okay, so the last whip that I'm gonna share with you is my big whip that I'm working on. I've been through it with this one, guys. So it is an ink circles pattern called Dog's Declaration. It says life, liberty, and the pursuit of squirrels. I love it. Like, I love this so much. It is very different than my normal style, but I don't care. I still love it so much. So I started this in September as my birthday start on a completely different fabric than what you're about to see and with different floss. And I should have brought it, but let's just say it was I think it called for 36 count fabric, if I remember correctly. So that's what I got. I didn't get the actual called for fabric though. I got like a even weave. This was early on in my stitching on higher count fabric thing. And I started to stitch it, and the parts, I'll show you on the pattern. The like lettering and stuff looked very, like you could really see the fabric through it, and I did not like the coverage. I just didn't like it. And there were parts where, and I think maybe it was the variegation of the thread, it looked darker and lighter in different spots, and I just didn't like it. And I had like, I think I had the word life, I had this part of this border, and like I had some things done in here. Like it was a fair amount of stitching to go, forget it. But I had a ton more to do. So I was like, no, if you're not happy with this, we need to start over. So I purchased it's the called for color of fabric, which is, hold on, let me find it. Tycho linen by Picture This Plus. Yes, it called for 36 count. I got 40 count. Look at me, I'm like a big girl stitcher now. So we have, let's see. I'm trying to see what, and I'm sorry, this one is very wrinkled. Very wrinkled. So we've got life, liberty, start of the P, and a bunch of like the little motifs in between. There is no like border that you have to worry about matching up necessarily on this. So I'm trying to kind of get some of the words done and then work off of things from the words. My goal for this one is to work on it at least 3 days a month. Like this one's gonna take me like probably a couple years. Although if I get many of those months, I have worked extra, and like this is what got done. I don't remember when I restarted it, but like the first few months of 2023, I was stitching on the old version and that I set aside. So like this isn't indicative of what I can really get done like in a 6-month period. So I don't think it's definitely not gonna be done by my birthday this year, but maybe sometime in 2024. I told my husband, he's eligible to retire in 3 years. I said, maybe this will be done by the time you retire. So goals, right? All right, so that's it. All right, so we're at almost an hour. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just talk quickly about plans for July, and then we're gonna like wrap up, and we'll save the remaining whips that are on my whip go board for we'll go through those each month. So plans for July, the 2 whip go pulls. One is, and I don't really have a picture necessarily of this, but it was the stitch along from Frosted Pumpkin last year, the Under the Sea pattern. That's how far I am, so get a little idea of that. There is a hole, like it actually says Under the Sea at the bottom, if you're familiar. There's kind of a border that goes around it. I'm not doing any of that. I don't actually like that. This almost falls in the category of like, why was I doing this? Like, what am I gonna do with it? I will probably, some of my beachy stitches are hanging up in my daughter's room, so this might join them when it's like, cause it's cute, but like I'm not hanging this probably somewhere out in my house. I don't know, we'll see. But I am gonna eliminate that border. So this, I don't think I will finish it in 5 days. I'm sure I won't finish it, even eliminating that. This is another, and this is another 14 count fabric. This I just bought at Michael's. It's like is it DMC? It might be DMC brand that had, you can kind of see there's like blue and green, like, I mean, it looks dyed, but it's not, it's just printed. I don't know if you can sort of see that. It's a tight squeeze, like size-wise, I think, to fit this on here, but since I'm leaving that border off, I think it'll be fine. So we're just gonna see what we get, how far we get on that one. And then the next one is the one I've been honestly dreading. This is where I need your advice, okay? It is my oldest whip, which is this Dimensions Gold Petite Christmas on the Beach. Okay, here's the deal. All of the, what is happening here? Okay. Apparently, that's weird. Oh, I see, okay. All the actual stitching is done. The back stitch on this thing, I hate it. Like, I utterly hate it. Now, I'm looking at this and going like, I think it looks fine. We just leave it alone and be done. And that might be the answer. But here's what I don't like. There are certain things where you really need the back stitching to like make it look like what it is. But see, like those chairs, I feel like those look like Adirondack chairs and they're not back stitched, and I think it's fine without it. There's something about the back stitching on here that my brain cannot comprehend. And so sometimes there's back stitching on a pattern where like you're going maybe up 3 squares, but really only over 1. My brain can see that. I can understand what I'm supposed to do. I don't have a problem with it. It's as if someone just took a ruler and started drawing lines. I feel like they have no connection to the holes in the fabric. And I'm using the kit fabric. It's just 18 count Ada. And I'm like, where am I supposed to like actually be stitching in for the, I don't get it. And like, or they'd be really, really long, and maybe that's how they're supposed to be, but it drove me nuts. I was hating it. And so I set it aside and I thought, I'm gonna put it on this board And whatever gets done this month, because honestly, again, I'm looking at this going, if I just called this done, maybe it would be fine. There are a bunch of French knots in here that I'm also not, I'm going to maybe put beads, although maybe I just don't need to do anything. I don't know. So if you know any like tips or tricks of how to do the back stitch on a dimensions kit like this, I am literally all ears to hear what that is, because I'm not really looking forward to doing this. But I love the piece. I love the way it looks. I love it. But I do not, I'm not looking forward to the back stitch. And like I said, I am looking at this, even not on the camera, and going, I might just say it looks fine and call it done. And then I would like have all these days extra in July. I don't know. We'll see. We'll try. Yeah, because see, there's things where it's like bows on a present that it doesn't even look like anything. There's a few things I think I have to try to do something. But okay. Again, I don't like to work on things that I don't like, but like it needs to be done. Like I worked hard on that and I want it to be done. Okay, so that's my other whip go pull. We'll have the time window. Oh, no, the season 2 July will get done. And then I want to try to get my other 2 time window patterns that I have to do, which are September and December, done, so I can do the finishing for those when I go on my retreat in August. So that's plans for July. So, okay, we're just over an hour. I'm gonna end this. If you have made it through all my ramblings and like showing a million projects, some wrinkly, some not, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back. I'm gonna try to be more regular, but quite honestly, it's probably likely gonna be like a monthly scenario, which kind of will make sense with the way I'm doing things. I think that'll be fine. So that's gonna be my goal. We'll see how it goes. So hopefully I will see you in a month. Thanks, bye.